blimey, that was... Thank you! Why not? Yeah. Pablo, you're not clapping.
Darren looked like one of those little nodding dogs from the car.
Hang on. He is a bit... Look at that. That's brilliant. Lovely stuff. I love his shirt tonight. Anyway, we're back. This is the Chelsea Football Fancast. I am Stamford Chidge. We are all very much Look at that. Almost 3D strap lines there. Kind of weirdness. Anyway, yeah, we're back. It's great to be back, even if this is the last show of the season. Now, I love doing this show, actually. I love doing the last show of the season because it's a really good opportunity because, I've got a memory like a goldfish.
Yeah, see, Eric Freeman, if I can just very quickly interrupt, saying that he thought Ivanovic should be slightly higher. He said that he thought Brandon was unbelievable during the first half of the season. His ratings. Don't
worry, Eric, I will be giving out Ross's email address during the show.
I like the idea of people writing into the Mixlr saying, no, you should have got a 6.7 instead of a 6.6.
No. I will give you Ross's email address and you can send your complaints directly to Ross. In fact, why don't you just wait until he's put the blog up and you can comment on there? Ross is a big man. He welcomes feedback. He's not like me. I just tell you where to stick it. Ross is a good man. He'll have a debate with you. Anyway, one of the things I love doing about the last show is the fact that it does give me a chance to kind of look back along, at the season. I tend to forget most of it while I'm doing it because I tend to be too drunk. But in the moments of sobriety that lead up to this show and writing the script, I get a chance to reflect, and it's a good thing. And the first thing I'd like to reflect on, Darren and Pablo and the benches and you lot listening out there, in fact, is that we finished third in the league. We were 4 points off the top. We were in the Champions League semi-final, and we were actually in the league. In the title race, really, pretty much until the last week. So, first question, was it a good season or a bad season, Pablo?
I enjoyed it a lot, actually, because it had proper roller coastering of emotions.
You like a bit of that?
Ultimately, yeah.
Glorious unpredictability
is
back.
Much better that way, but ultimately, I think, looking back, it was a real missed opportunity for winning the league, but even so, yeah, it was good.
You're a bit disappointed.
It was a good season. I'd have happily taken how it turned out. Well, I would have expected nothing more really than how it turned out at the start of the season. That would have been my aim, really, I guess, for this. But given how the league panned out, it does feel a bit like a missed opportunity.
It does, doesn't it? We were close. We were very close, but still quite far away. And I think, actually, he's got a point there. The fact that we were that close makes it a bit disappointing. But frankly, I didn't think we would win the league this year anyway. But I'm very delighted that that Liverpool didn't win it. If they'd have won it and we'd have gotten close, I'd have been really cross. But,
I wouldn't have cared either way what Liverpool did.
I don't like
anyone. I mean, for me, the thing is, though, with it, that Mourinho always said about we're not ready to win it this season, even when we beat Man City. And I always thought we'd win it, and I said it all season. But I think it actually, what he said is right all along. He was moaning from October about the strikers and everything else. And, when Sturridge has only got 2 goals less than our top 2 highest goal scorers in the Premier League out of the strikers, and they've still got Suarez who scored a hell of a lot more than that. It does show we clearly had inadequate strikers this season, and I think that's what Jose always said. And I think things could have been a lot different. I think if we did have a proper striker up there who was going to score 20, 25 goals,
would have made all the difference.
We would have won the league.
I mean, clearly it would have made all the difference, particularly in those games where we didn't break teams down.
Yeah, it's the home
ones. We'll get into that a bit more in a minute. Benches, what do you think? Are you happy or are you sad? Has it been a good season or a bad season? Where do you lot sit on all of this?
I think on the whole, a decent season. Lots of highs like the Arsenal game, but as the guys have just said, lacked a striker and 2 wins away from the title. So good, but 8 out of 10, I would say.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with Darren that there was always going to be the striker that was our downfall, or the lack of a decent world-class striker. But there's some good parts, some bad parts. Defensively, we're great. It's just up front we're just lacking a real Diego Costa.
I mean, they do sound depressed, don't they? It's just because thank you, Ross has just whispered in my ear, and I just basically, it's a bit like when you've got somebody in your head and they say things, you kind of feel compelled to say them. But I think if we hadn't stopped them going to the pub, they wouldn't sound so depressed, would they, Darren?
No, can I just say what Tom Motherway did as well?
What did Tom Motherway? Is Tom Motherway in the house tonight?
He emailed me a few days ago, and we were having a chin mag about the season. He said he didn't think it was disappointing. He said for United it is, when people like Everton would be disappointed to come 7th. But Arsenal, when they were in the lead, actually, the way they were playing everything else, the fact that Wenger's had so long to build the team, you'd expect them to potentially do more, although they also don't have a striker. And we actually only scored, I think, in the league something like 3 or 4 goals less than we did in Mourinho's title-winning season in 04-05.
Well, that's it.
I've got a bit of trucker's arm here. I got a bit sunburnt today. Sorry, I got distracted.
I didn't notice. I just didn't see how it was relevant to anything.
Compare me to Pablo.
Pasty me.
White man, not a white man. Right. Okay. I'm now going to give you reasons to be cheerful. Everybody, they're absolutely wetting their knickers in the gallery. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm now going to give you some reasons to be cheerful because everybody's sounding a bit disappointed disappointed and depressed. There is no need to be, people. Do not worry. And the first reason, Darren, and actually the boys on the benches said this a minute ago, but I think the first thing we have to be truly thankful for is the defence. And for me, that's absolute trademark Jose. He's come in and he's sorted out the defence. If you remember last season, it was... We made some comical defending with a clown in charge. Jose comes in, he's sorted all of that out. And I think what I've really loved most about this season is the return of heart and commitment in the defence.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of embodied by...
Organisation.
I don't know about that.
I think that's always been there.
Cahill just settled in more and more every season.
And it was missed last year because Terry barely played last year.
Well, maybe that's it.
And you notice people throwing themselves in front of challenges when people are throwing themselves in front of that kind of...
Yeah, but Aspie's been a revelation.
Yeah, but I don't think
season.
that's necessarily heart and commitment. That's improvement in terms of a...
I'm moving on now.
Yeah, okay.
I've done
away from your English ideals and back to how football's played.
No, but Aspie's been a revelation this season.
Yeah.
Cahill's been massively improved. And, I mean, Terry and Cech have been absolutely back to their best this season, haven't they?
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, can't really argue with any of that at all. And it's quite clearly the manager and the training regime that's caused that, really. But
the other thing that I think that's very typical of Mourinho, and I think this is a difference between this season and last season, that he said, right, these are my five, this is my defence, Cech, Aspie, Branner, Cole, Cahill, Terry, and that's what I'm going to play. And I'm going to play them every blooming match if I have to, because actually what that begets is stability. And out of that stability comes solidity.
And it took him half of the season at least to work that out, though, didn't it?
But he worked it out.
And that's when we started not making the silly defensive mistakes.
None of this squad rotation.
None of this David Luiz at centre-back, basically.
David Luiz at centre-back, exactly. So there we go. So I'm happy. I mean, I think the defence is and I mean, the other
Diane
thing...
Crabtree agrees with you. She has been brilliant all season.
I love Diane. I love the fact she agrees with me
We
too.
had 3 bad Branner things in a row. Garfield Bailey.
Garfield Bailey. Who's Garfield Bailey?
No
Branner
idea.
was awful. He was whinnying on about that on Facebook. It was you, isn't it, Gaffer? It's you.
That's very passive-aggressive considering you're over there. Just say it.
The worst player of the season.
I think that deserves some sort of an award there. Gaffer is sitting on the benches and he's tweeted or put on Mixer a naff comment. What's with all of that?
He was, it was pointless putting him to run forward trying to cross the ball.
Well, that
He's
is
the
true.
first man all season.
He can't cross the
Frustrating.
ball. That is true, Gaffer.
I don't know why Ross has voted him so highly.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gaffer. Ross is only in the gallery. Go and punch him now.
Can I just say, 2 people do sort of back Gaffer up. Nick Kilduff says about he hit the first man with way too many crosses to deserve any higher than he got, because I'm thinking Eric Freeman said he should have got higher. And Daniel percentage 20 Francisco said Branner needs someone in front of him who can cross the ball in brackets.
But ultimately, you're not picking your right back on how well they cross the ball. At least
Anyway,
you shouldn't be, so.
I mean, the other thing is, I think the thing that we should also appreciate is that, if Jose's coming in for hopefully quite a long period of time, all great teams, and I've been watching football a lot longer than a lot of you here. I mean, there are a few here on the benches who are as old as me, but, all great teams, questions on a postcard, answers on a postcard as to which ones are as old as me. But, I've been watching it for a long time, and all great sides, the foundations are built on a good defence. And I think Jose's come in, he's sorted the defence out, and he will build from there. He will work at everything else, and hopefully next season, he'll work on the issues that we've got in midfield, and he'll work clearly on getting striker. The other thing I think that we should be cheerful about, in my opinion, is the Champions League, Darren. I personally, I didn't expect us to get into a semi-final of the Champions League this year. Certainly when I looked in the, after the group stage and you looked at who was in it.
And after January.
And after January, exactly.
Sold half of our squad players.
Exactly. So, I thought that was good. And I don't think it was any disgrace whatsoever to lose to what I think is a thoroughly good Atletico Madrid side.
Yeah, the fact they've just won La Liga and the fact they're I suppose obviously saying they're in the Champions League final, but
and they've got our goalkeeper.
Yeah, but also the fact they beat Barcelona on the way to the Champions League final as well. I mean, I know they probably aren't the same team they have been, but they have had a quite hard run, and they could easily obviously win it on Saturday. There's no reason that they're not going to do the double. So yeah, there's no shame in losing to Atletico Madrid. Being in the semi-final, I think, is quite good. If you look at it, like Arsenal have been knocked out in the second round, I think the last 4 seasons in a row.
Yeah, but they'd already got their trophy for qualifying.
Yeah, that's true. So at least we're I mean, no one gets as many semi-finals as us in Europe.
So I'm not touching my nipples. I'm just pointing out the trophy.
I would say that with Mourinho, that the first time around 2 or 3 years he got to the semi-final. Every year at Madrid he got to the semi-final.
Yeah.
Obviously, at least 1 year.
He's failed because he's only won 12 trophies in 9 years, unlike Wenger, who's won 1 FA Cup. So he's a failure.
We obviously know Mourinho will win something next year.
Oh, I think he will.
Something to trump the FA Cup.
Do you know what I really like? Actually, both of you, this one. I mean, what I really liked about the Champions League for me, and weirdly, this is one of the high points of the season for me. What I really liked was the PSG game at home, where we were under the cosh, 3-1 down. A lot of people were not backing us to go through. We all felt we would, and I think a lot of that was based on what happened.
I put
against
50 quid on it. 50 quid Chelsea to qualify after 3-1
Good man.
down.
Where did that 50 quid winnings go?
Yeah, on Lisbon flights to Lisbon, hotels to Lisbon. And I bet 100 quid I was winning Champions League after that as well. So I really lost about 700 quid on the Champions League in the end.
But that performance against PSG, what I liked most, I did say this, I think after in the show that we did after that game. But what I really liked most about that was that a lot of the players that were playing that night are going to be the players for the future, and it was really good for them to really understand what Chelsea in the Champions League is all about when you're trying to overturn a 3-1 deficit, the atmosphere, having the cojones to go out there and deliver. I'm talking about the Schürrles and the Oscars, the guys that weren't around when we won it in that wonderful campaign that we
2 years ago today.
2 years ago today! Darren, I know, I've been looking for an excuse.
I thought that's why you were...
One step beyond. But I should say, this is a gift from Beth from Chelsea in America. This is one of their summer tour shirts, but isn't it so appropriate for today, I thought, 19th of May. Yeah, 2 years ago today. This time, 2 years ago, I was staggering around outside the Alliance Stadium thinking, God, I'm absolutely munted.
We'd have just been walking in and finding Tell inexplicably already just standing there on his own.
I would have been in for an hour hanging up banners. That's where I'd be.
Were you hanging up the banners?
Of course I was.
Even
3 hours before kickoff, 4 hours before kickoff, I jumped on the tube, but it was rammed even then. Getting to the ground.
Were you on the tube with me? Because I was on the tube with your mum and Steve.
Yeah, they left hours off me.
Yeah.
I left about 2 hours before that.
We were still in the Augustina, just north of
Ross, come on, whisper it in the ear.
What was it, Ross? Thank you.
Just north of...
Augustina Beer Keller.
It's just north of...
Keller Beer Garden, just north of Hout Bahnhof. Thank you. Yeah.
So I was already in there doing all the banners and everything else. So, but this time I was still running around. In fact, I think I saw Kelvin and that lot.
I've been awake about 4 hours.
Yeah. I didn't even see you in the pub because you were so munted from the night before. Okay,
were you on a minibus? No, you.
Enough. Here's a question: How far short are we right now from winning the Champions League again?
We all know a striker. Anything else is down to just.
Yeah.
Like Mourinho says, when you get to the last 4, you can't really tell. Anyone that's in the last 4 can deserve to win it. It doesn't matter who it is. We could have won it this time round if things had been on our side. If we hadn't given away a stupid penalty, maybe we would have won it this time. Who knows? I don't think you can ever really say much more now. If we have a striker, we've got every chance of winning it.
Yeah. What do you reckon on the benches?
Yeah, I think the strikers are key. That's clearly been the problem for.
How close are we to winning the Champions League again, Dan?
Touching distance. We were this year. I think 8 strikers, everyone said, would have been there or thereabouts. Would have been on the way to Lisbon.
Greg's telling me next season from the gallery.
I think there's always not a real ability to be able to call a cup competition, particularly one.
There's a lot of luck involved.
There's never really an
out-and-out
favourite for something like the Champions League. There are so many good teams in there, and so many teams that are capable of being others on their day,
I think actually that what have we got here? No less a man than Joe Tweeds is listening, and he's on Mixler. What does he say, Darren?
Here you're saying we are 4 players short.
Okay,
can
Joe,
you list what positions?
Thank you, and also who? I'd like to know who they are, Joe.
Yeah, who do you want, Mr. Tactical Guru?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, it's in one of your blogs. Sorry, I just haven't got around to reading it yet.
Just put a link up for the blog, Joe. What I would say is that actually I look at it another way, and I look at the other teams around, and I don't think we're quite as good as Real Madrid. Bayern Munich, actually, I think we are a match.
I think Guardiola's beatable for a start.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that.
Big time.
So actually, I mean, we are there or thereabouts. There aren't that many teams in Europe who I don't think that on our day that we couldn't beat.
It just depends on whether or not we're going to continue to go for a stylistic change, really, doesn't it?
Now, look, talking of change, we've got the Premier League. And one of the things that I'm very, very pleased about in the Premier League is the fact that we absolutely... I mean, if we did just a league of the top 7, we'd have won. We beat everybody. You know, we were fantastic. We beat all the
But
top
if
four.
we had League of Bottom 7, we could have got relegated.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll get onto that bit in a minute. Let's concentrate on the cheerful stuff first. You know, again, I'm trying to compare it to last season, and you know, we destroyed all of our main rivals in the top four, and I mean, not only, I mean, you know, tactically we absolutely outplayed City. We got a bit lucky at home, I'll grant you that, but we outplayed them at their own manner, which was fantastic. Liverpool weighed and measured both games. United, I mean, the first game came too early, but we absolutely buried them at home.
Yeah.
Arsenal, I mean, that's one of my all-time favourite matches ever. I mean, you know, we just absolutely destroyed them. This is fantastic. I mean, we've got to be happy about that.
Yeah, and ultimately, I reckon actually you get a much, much bigger high from winning those games than you do a low from losing the others, actually. So this is what I'm saying about it being an enjoyable season regardless.
And I think that's absolutely spot on. I mean,
That's naturally, I never thought like it. You're right. If we had come third in the same amount of points, but beaten Norwich at home, beaten Sunderland at home, but drawn like with Liverpool away, drawn with Man City away, and things like that instead. You're right, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Never thought about that.
Joe Tweeter's come back.
A left back? What's wrong with Aspie? We haven't read the whole thing yet, but what's wrong with Aspie?
Just read it out. Just read it out.
Midfielder next to Matic. Yeah, fair enough. I do agree with you actually there. Someone in 3 who scores goals and a striker. So someone in 3 is in someone to replace Frank Lampard, really. I still think Schürrle could potentially
he's a
go
hard
into
man,
that
isn't
sort
he?
of thing instead. Striker, Rodriguez at Wolfsburg. Go big
He's
on
a left back.
Vidal / Pogba.
Vidal, Pogba, Roos seems to be available. Get Costa in, Sell 10 of the 1,000 low players we have. Yeah, I mean, you know, reinvest the Luis Oscar. Oh,
Get rid of Oscar! Get rid of Oscar!
Shame on you, Joe Tweed.
You're the one that nominated him as your most disappointing.
Yeah, but
Shame on you, Stamford Chidge.
No, this is terrible. Right, I'm going to move this on because I don't like getting taken off on air in public by people who are supposed to be on my side. But anyway, we should really kind of mention the disappointing stuff that we had against the lower sides. I mean, you know, Crystal Palace, oh dearie me, there we go, Norwich, Sunderland, West Brom, Newcastle, to name but a few. I mean, and the real issue, I mean, I know what it's going to come back down to. I mean, we couldn't break the teams down. I know you're all going to say it was the strikers, but, you know, is it style of play as well? Is it something to do with our heart? I mean, what do we need to do? I don't believe it's just as simple as getting a striker.
Yeah, well, Terry said about...
It really is. You think it really is?
Someone that can take the chances, because we haven't not been making chances. We just haven't been scoring them.
I completely agree with it. I think Terry was saying that doing the high line under AVB, he didn't like it. Mourinho convinced him about how he can play, how it's going to suit him and things like that. And I think you've already said about how good the defence have been. You know, we're clearly creating enough. We've got enough players that can attack, that can go wide, that can do everything else. There's just no one in there.
You know what, Darren? I think you're spot on. I think it's fascinating because I like to moan. I think it's kind of a thing about people of a certain age. You know, I do like to moan a bit.
And this is the thing I don't get.
I'm
going to go on a rant. Can I rant afterwards?
In a minute. You can rant after I've made my point.
Thank you.
The thing is that, you know, I moan and blame everybody, like the midfielders as well. But actually, when you look at a lot of the stats from the games that we drop points against the lower league, you know, teams on the table. You look at how many shots we've had.
Yeah,
on
and
our
actually,
target.
I think this kind of means
we're clearly creating. We're creating.
Yeah, but it's not
stuff,
just the strikers that have been missing the chance. It's the others who need to be more clinical, which is when everything went absolutely right in Carlo's double winning year. That was just because we were so clinical with every chance we got. And
But we're creating those chances. But we don't have a striker who can bang those chances in.
scored 33 or whatever it was that season, and Lampard scored 20.
Even Kalou got 15 or so.
Anyway,
exactly.
we've got to go to a break, sadly. But I think just because I'm losing the argument, obviously. But no, we'll be back in a minute, and we're going to be talking a lot more. We're going to be talking Jose Mourinho. We're going to be talking ruining football. We're going to be talking we are the enemies of football, and lots of other stuff that I absolutely love. We will see you in a minute.